is extremely biased. Iran was the one attacked. They didn't attack. They received the aggression and responded to it, and yet the war is portrayed as being Iran's fault. So I just don't see any prospect of anything coming out of this. And I've thought it was a mistake for the Iranians to agree to these negotiations or to ever have a ceasefire. They should have finished the war. They were winning. and they should have finished it. And they didn't.
Anyway.
Oh, boy.
Well, look, this is what we don't understand. This is Eastern Europe.
Right.
None of this has anything to do with us.
Agreed.
We should not be involved. Period. Other than to help negotiate an end to the conflict.
Agreed. And I have to tell you that the hundreds and hundreds of people commenting agree. And they've also said, we're happy the Colonel had a nice vacation, but we're glad he's back.
Well, you know what your viewers can do that I think most of us are beginning to learn to do in the West is whatever is said about Russia, drop the word Russia, substitute Ukraine, and you're closer to the truth.
Colonel, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll have you back real soon.
Okay, Judge.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. It is, I watched an interesting, is it Brandon Straka, Walk Away, Republicans, Walk Away Democrats. Anyway, he had a debate between the baby boomers, people our age, a little older, and the Generation X, the guys basically that are in their mid 30s, early 40s. And there's profound differences, profound. And, our baby, not you and me, but there are others of our cohorts who are just living in a delusional fantasy world. And they refuse to catch up to reality. And they repeat all these, what they've been told repeatedly about Iran's the greatest terrorist state in the world, and they're a bunch of religious fanatics, and they hate us for our freedom, and all that crap. And so when you got a population that believes that, then they willingly go along with stupid government policies. And, it is, it's hurting America big time. And, frankly, I don't know if we can recover from this.
Not for the foreseeable future, especially economically. I think that whatever comes out on the other side of this mess looks different. You know what I mean? That where America is, when I look at
Aaron Mate, welcome here, my dear friend. Let's get a little philosophical to start with. We have some very concrete issues to talk about. How can two people start a war and 8 billion are suffering? And nobody seems to be able to bring this to a resolution. I'm speaking, of course, of Trump and Netanyahu.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's unfortunate that's the position we're in, where these two individuals full of hubris, entitlement, supremacy, believing that Iran would just crumble under their might, launched this war of aggression, completely unnecessary, as everybody knows now. Trump couldn't even keep his story straight, his lies straight on why he launched the war. And now is unable to get out of it because he won't admit that he lost and won't recognize Iran's basic minimal rights as a sovereign nation, which helped explain why he launched this to begin with, because he was trying to overthrow the government, which failed. So I've been saying for a while now, despite all the talk of diplomacy between Iran and the US, I just don't think, and I know other guests on your show have said the same thing, I don't think Trump is capable of diplomacy. Given to his own unique personality, his lack of focus, his lack of seriousness, his entitlement, his narcissism, but also because it would require the people around him to recognize Iran's minimal rights as a sovereign nation. And their whole policy, going back many years, even before the Trump camp took office, U.S. policy has been predicated, with a few exceptions, including under Obama's JCPOA, of not recognizing Iran as a legitimate sovereign nation.
Oh, and I almost forgot. Let me put this shit out in the ether, out in the streets. My kids, my two sons, one of which is 19, freshman in college. The other is 21, works for a multi-billion-dollar race team, travels all over the country, living his best life. They've got their whole lives ahead of them. They are not, and I repeat, they are not fucking going to fight a war for a fucking foreign entity and die when they've got their whole lives ahead of them. Not fucking happening. My sons aren't going. Draft, don't give a fuck about a draft. They're not going. I'm just, like I said, I'm putting this out in the streets right now. I don't give a fuck. They're not going. It's not fucking happening. Or anyone I know is not gonna let their sons go over there and fucking die for this madness. Not gonna fucking happen. Regime change. I don't give a fuck. Go to fight for oil, steal gold, the third temple. I don't care. They're not going. They're not going. You can come and get me first. You can come and get me. I'm in good enough shape. I'm in good enough shape, and I don't give a fuck. Like I said, just letting you know. Not going. It's not happening. You're not taking my sons over to some foreign land to die for your fucking proxy war and your fucking money laundering war. It's not happening. It's not happening. I hope you see it. And I hope you know, myself or anyone I know is not going to allow it to happen. So are millions of people. It's just not going to happen. All right? So do what you got to do. You're not getting my sons.
Notice the good things. Feel your cup. Forgive yourself for not knowing what time will tell. 'Cause everything comes crashing down. The sky's falling. Bring us
So Donald Trump, let's not forget, he came out saying, we got to remember this. We must understand Russia. Remember this. Donald Trump started off talking about NATO expansion, and he said, hey, I understand. Remember him saying, I understand? I understand that Putin, they never say Russia or the Russians. There's no such country as Russia. Doesn't exist. You only say Putin. In the same way that the liberals only say Trump, in the same way that the Zionists only say whatever, Assad, a big part of the neocon. You're listening to neocon foreign policy discussion when there are no countries involved, when there are only names involved. That's neocon foreign policy discussion, because that's the discussion that is used to deceive people. What you do, it's quite simple. You pretend the country doesn't exist. You only talk about an individual. You demonize the individual, and then you talk about, how you must stop this evil demonized individual. So Putin, Donald Trump started off saying, basically, I understand, hey, NATO's getting close. Hey, we're in his neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. He can't argue that he doesn't know. He can't argue that he doesn't really understand this is about NATO expansion. And let me add.
I feel terrible about the whole thing. I'm firmly of the opinion that Israel is the worst thing about America. And it's the cause of America has plenty of problems without them, but they're just their moral hazard and their perverse incentives and the operation of our national government and our national security state just cause so much grief. It's unbelievable.